Hey, welcome back to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online. If you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate if you purchase your next watch from us at JazzTime.com. Today we'll be doing a comparison between the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak family watches, the first one on the left being the Royal Oak self-winding chronograph, entirely in stainless steel, blue dial, reference number 26331ST.00.1220ST.01 versus the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore self-winding chronograph, titanium case, ceramic bezel, rubber strap, and a matching gray dial. Reference number 26470IO.00.A006CA.01. The one on the right, this Royal Oak Offshore, actually has a nickname, which is the Ghost, which is, appropriate for its overall appearance and also its weight. And we'll be, there's not much of a one-to-one comparison of all the features. That's not what we're here for. It's more of a comparison of the build materials. But, I'll touch on each of these features here while I have these two sitting in front of me. I'll be going over the case, bezel, dial, crown, function, movement, and the bracelet for both of these watches, and I'll tell you which one I'd go with at the end. And, if you don't agree with me, I will also have suggestions on who these watches are for. All right, so first off, the 26331ST, the Royal Oak, has a diameter of 41 millimeters from finger to thumb. All right, 11 millimeters thick and 51 millimeters lug to lug. It's all steel, polished on the vertices, as you can see on the corners here. There's a high polish, but otherwise satin brush finishing all the way on all of its faces, as well as the side of the case. All right, so it also has it's all steel, and the crown guards are actually sort of integrated into case for a seamless presentation. Note that the taper of that high polish goes all the way down to the bottom of the lug and sort of echoes across these crown guards here, across the chrono pushers, right? And also note that the faces of the case are satin brush finished front and back, as well, as you can see there. All right, satin brush finishing. It's like round concentric rings with a sandblasted finish with the Royal Oak logo right there. All right, so altogether, this has a sapphire crystal as well on the front with a 50-meter water resistance. So I would say it's surface swimmable at best. All right, the 26470IO, the Ghost, is 42 millimeters in diameter, so 1 millimeter more in diameter from finger to thumb. It's 14.5 millimeters thick, 53.8 millimeters lug to lug, so quite a bit larger than 51 on the Royal Oak. The casing is all in titanium, polished along the vertices as well, and satin brush finishing along the sides, as well as the face. The crown guards here are sort of like separate add-on sections, really, that sort of surround the chrono pushers, almost like, they're separate. They don't really integrate as well as in the Royal Oak here, which is all entirely the same case, but, the Offshore has that sort of addition of these chronograph pushers and pieces. Again, all ceramic on this bezel here, and same with these buttons as well. All these dark gray portions are ceramic. Okay, and also note that the face of this case is also satin brush finish front and back as well, but on the Offshore we have the open case back, so you can see the movement directly through the case back. Sapphire crystal as well, scratch resistant, and it has a 100-meter water resistance, so you can go pretty deep underwater. Certainly not a diver. Don't take it, anywhere, deeper than 100 meters below sea level. All right. Now here's where they start to really differ. Now it's the bezels here. Now on my left, the Royal Oak has a steel bezel matching that of the case, so you have that all integrated look, whereas the ceramic also has, the Ghost has an all ceramic bezel in this dark gray that matches that of the dial, as well as the pushers and the crown. Now, what is so special about ceramic is that, well, ceramic is highly scratch resistant. It's very difficult to actually scratch ceramic properly, whereas steel is much easier to scratch and leave dents. But the only potential downside to ceramic is that any damage to ceramic will cause full-on chips or even full-on shattering. But it has such, high resistance to pressure and impacts that it's very unlikely for this to actually break. Whereas with steel, it's still very, very tough, but you will see scratches, you will see dings on it if you were to, accidentally smack a doorknob or table corner, okay? So keep that in mind when you're looking at both of these watches. The Ghost has more of that, strength built into it. But once the strength breaks, then it's potentially hazardous, okay? So keep in mind that, doing so requires, effectively crushing it under, quite a bit of weight, and you'll have to really work at it to put any damage onto this ceramic bezel, right? So there's really no issue there. Both have the appropriately sized hexagonal screws, as you can see on the fronts of these bezels. The Royal Oak has smaller screws, while the Offshore has larger screws to generally fill that space a little bit better spacing overall, right? Okay, and now looking at the dials here, obviously very different features. The Offshore has the blue ground tapisserie dial, index hour marks for easy reading, intricate guilloche pattern for a sunray type of effect, as you can see. It's a bit subtle, but that's due to the engraving of the guilloche onto that ground tapisserie textile pattern on the back there, okay? It also has subdial layout of 3, 6, and 9 with the small seconds at the 6 o'clock. There's a date window at the 4:30 position, pretty low on the visual hierarchy there. And in comparison, the Ghost 26470IO has a gray mega tapisserie pattern. There's no additional textures to this. It's just simply raised squares, a bit larger. It has Arabic numerals for easy reading and differentiation. So if you have, a tough time reading an analog dial, perhaps you came from a digital world, well, you have the Offshore that has the Arabic numerals, so you can easily differentiate, well, which hour is which. Rather easy there. And also note that the subdial layout is 6, 9, 12, with the small seconds at the 12 o'clock instead of the 3, 6, 9 of the Royal Oak. The chronograph, the Royal Oak Offshore chronograph, has a different subdial configuration, with the 30-minute chrono dial being balanced out by the date window at the 3 o'clock position, taking up that entire 3 o'clock. So the date here takes a higher position in the visual hierarchy, so date is, very likely to be used more frequently than that of the Royal Oak chronograph. All right. So when it comes to the functions here, they basically function exactly the same. I'm not going to demonstrate them all here, but I will touch on the fact that the Royal Oak on my left here has no hacking seconds. When you pull the crown out to the final position, you cannot actually stop that seconds hand. So it's kind of a guessing game as to where you want to place that minute hand when you're adjusting the time, because you have to do so in conjunction with that second hand. But a little bit more on that in a moment, on how you can actually keep this one still accurate. On the Royal Oak Offshore, you do have that hacking seconds function. So the Offshore actually demands more precision. So it's, very likely the need for hacking seconds would underscore that performance as expected from a chronograph that also employs the use of the tachymetric scale on that inner bezel. Very useful with that chrono hand pointing at the tachymetric scale as well. All right. So what allows all of this to work is the movements. The 26331 ST, the Royal Oak, has the in-house made 2385, which is 26.2 millimeters or 11.5 lines in diameter. Again, you cannot see it through the case back, unfortunately, but it does have a vibration rating of 21,600 vibrations per hour, or 3 hertz. It has 37 joules and a unidirectional winding rotor in 18 karat gold. Altogether, it has 304 total parts, with the chronograph movement actually integrated into the movement. It also has a column wheel with a chronograph mechanism. So what does that mean? You can basically let the center seconds run on the chronograph. So when it comes to setting the time properly, you can actually you can stop and reset the chronograph, and you can actually set your minute hand precisely and then just start the seconds hand from there. You can then ignore the small seconds at the 6 o'clock, and having the chronograph running constantly, continuously, does not actually put any additional wear, tear, or damage effectively on the movement because of that, that separate column wheel chronograph mechanism. Okay, I'm going to reset it there. Now onto the Ghost, the Royal Oak Offshore. It's a 3126/3840. That means it's partially in-house, partially outsourced. The in-house part is the 3126 that has the center-mounted seconds, or the center-mounted hour, minute, and the use of a seconds hand with the instant rapid setting of the date. The chronograph mechanism was added onto this one, and that's the 3840 portion, which was created from the Dubois de Pras chronograph module. All right, altogether it has a 29.92 millimeter or 13¼ lines diameter, so a little bit larger than the Royal Oak at 26.2 millimeters. This one's 29.92 millimeters, 21,600 vibrations per hour, same speed, same hertz value of 3 hertz of 3 hertz. It also has 59 joules, far more joules, because it needs to have all of those parts separately working also together. It also has a good part about that is that the winding rotor here is actually a bidirectional winding rotor, and it is also in 22 karat gold, up from 18 karat gold in the Royal Oak. It also has a total of 365 parts with a 55-hour power reserve. The Royal Oak over here has a 40-hour power reserve, so 40 hours versus 55 hours power reserve. Now, there's no mention on using the chronograph hand as a large center-mounted seconds, so I wouldn't really bet that this would be the best choice to have running constantly as a small seconds hand. Sure, you can definitely use it to keep track of units per hour, units per minute, whatever, using the tachymetric scale. You can also use it to time things based on the minute and the hour intervals. No problem there. And you have that hacking feature for the small seconds at the 12 o'clock, so there's really no issue. There's really no need to keep this center-mounted chronograph hand constantly running, unless you're really timing something for 12 hours. All right. And now onto the bracelets here. We have two very different types of bracelets. Well, I have a bracelet on the Royal Oak, and I have a rubber strap on the Offshore. So looking at the Royal Oak, all steel links again, and in order to size it, you must actually move or add or remove links based on your wrist size. But once you do, there's really no need to, fiddle with it anymore. No need to do any faffing. So high polish in those tiny, tiny little intermediate link parts, and brush finishing all the way down. A nice taper down with a high polish going along the vertices, sort of continuing from the case here. All right, going down to the double deployment clasp, which unfastens by pressing the button levers, which only opens by pressing the button levers, and it's always fold one side over first and then the side with the AP logo. No issue there, rather easy. Now when it comes to the chronograph, the Royal Oak Offshore, this one has the two integrated links that go directly into this rubber strap here. This gray rubber strap matches the gray ceramic as well as the gray dial, all right, giving it, really underscoring that this is certainly a Ghost. And the clasp here, well, not really a clasp, it is a Tang style buckle. with the AP logo nicely finished on there, with a satin brush finishing all over there. And it also has the ability to effectively, you can size this to any wrist. You don't need to remove or add any links. It's all just one, it's all right there. All right. These channels in here also help to keep this a little bit more flexible, and also gives that sense of motion with these intermediate links, as if they sort of slid up here and collided with the watch to give it that sort of integrated look, right? Now when it comes to sizing or general feel of these watches, I'll try these on as well. So I'm trying on the Royal Oak. It's certainly a bit on the heavier side, but you know, that's not to say that it's necessarily heavy, but it's not light either. I can certainly feel it on the wrist. I do get, you know, quite a bit of, well, quite a bit of case, really. Not so much bracelet here. I'm getting a really good reading of the dial. The dial is very nice, very easy to read, and with that blue backdrop, you can't say no to that. The only issue I find here is that potentially the date is, it kind of falls to the wayside, but you don't really need to refer to the date very often, maybe just a couple times a day. You should be okay with that, all right? And when it comes to the overall weight distribution, I'm definitely feeling more in the case, because the counterbalance of this bracelet, you know, is not all that much when acted against the case, but that's not really a bad thing, because I know I'm getting a very high value timepiece on my wrist. Also note that the flaring of these lugs actually does help keep it, you know, additionally breathable on the wrist. So no issue there, all right? And then trying on the Royal Oak Offshore here, when it comes to the wearing experience. Okay, I will have to put this on, I believe, at the smallest size. My wrist is about 7.25 to 7.5 inches in circumference. So on smaller wrists, you will definitely be able to fit the Ghost on very easily, or any other Offshore. All right, any other Offshore in a 44mm diameter. Now, this one, now I actually do have it fitting snug on the wrist. Now, it actually doesn't feel like I'm really wearing anything. It's so incredibly light, and that's all thanks to the titanium build here with the rubber strap, not an integrated steel bracelet. This rubber strap keeps it very light, and you know, it doesn't really need that counterweight, because this case is already incredibly light. The only issue I find here is that it doesn't slip very easily under a cuff, and that's because this is a sports watch. This is made for going out. You don't wear this to, you know, necessarily formal gatherings, unless that's your thing. All right, and note that while I do have this snug fit on my wrist, it does also have the flaring of those lugs outward, just like in the Royal Oak. So I do get additional breathability here. And if I need more breathability, I can simply loosen this strap here to, you know, the next slot up, or, you know, and just work from there. All right, so which one would I choose? Well, it's a really, really tough decision, but I would say that the Offshore over here on the right side here, the Offshore, the Ghost, actually gets my vote, but very narrowly. The only reason is that ceramic is harder to scratch, and titanium is very light, and it's very easy wear with that rubber strap. So altogether, it's an incredibly light timepiece, very, very difficult to damage, and you know, it has a very good sense of longevity. The hacking seconds for precise time setting, you can't go wrong with this at all. But you know, if you think that the Royal Oak is more your style, I certainly see that as well. It acts much more of a dress watch, as the integrated bracelet actually has much more usage in formal environments. It has a better breathability, so you know, you don't have the adjustability as with the rubber strap, but you don't really need that. Once you have this size to you, you don't really need to, you know, faff around with the strap at all. You can just simply wear this, and all the spaces among these links actually allows your wrist to breathe very, very easily. And you know, when it comes to, you know, formal environments, this definitely fits in. And the chrono functions are sort of like a secondary feature. So they're there should you require them, but you don't absolutely have to have them. If that's your thing, then by all means, get this Royal Oak. Especially with that blue dial, you have this option here. Not as easily available on the Offshore. You can get it definitely on any of the Royal Oaks, especially with the Royal Oak chronograph. This one is a boutique exclusive because, you know, blue dials have a higher rejection rate. Very, very difficult to make with the correct color values here and this specific type of hue. So, you know, obviously they would have to limit the number of pieces being created. All right. So, you know, enough of what I think. What do you think about these watches, and which one do you think is more your style? The Royal Oak with the chronograph sort of as a secondary feature, or the Royal Oak Offshore with the chronograph and, you know, precision, you know, coming first, but, you know, at the cost of obviously its form factor? Well, is that really cost to you? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you learned something. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we go live with another video. And as always, if you'd like to purchase either of these watches, both in production, this one is a boutique exclusive. We can get it very easily for you here at jazztime.com. Links in the description below, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.